Pac-Man is the classic arcade game where you race around a maze eating dots while avoiding the enemy ghosts. Have you ever wondered what would it be like to be on the other side though? To find out, I remade Pac-Man but with a twist. You take turns playing as Pac-Man, collecting dots, and then you switch to the ghost to try and stop your previous self. Stay to the end to see how I make this mechanic. So I wanted to put my own style into the art, so I went and I remade the map by copying the original game, but I put this gradient effect onto the walls. Then I threw it into Unity and I set up the colliders, and I made the background that you're going to be playing on. Then next we needed a Pac-Man. I opened up my drawing app and I created this. I know it's nothing special, but hey, it's Pac-Man. I also created a sprite for when he has its mouth closed, and I put it into Unity and I made it cycle through the two states. After that, we needed to make him move. So in the original game, Pac-Man can tell when there's a wall on either side of him, and it doesn't let you move to those walls. The way I implemented this into my game is by giving Pac-Man sight. I gave him the ability to see on every side of him to tell if there's a wall there. If he doesn't see a wall, he can turn and go that way. I know this is moving pretty fast, but you can see this in-game if you look at these little checkboxes while he's moving. Anyways, next we needed a ghost. I created a few different colored sprites for the ghost just in case I would want to change how it looks later. Then I added them into the game. I gave the ghost the exact same movement mechanics as the player, but I have the speed set a bit higher so he would have a chance to catch up. Then I went and I spread these dots all over the map and I set up the mechanic for Pac-Man to eat them. When you go over the dots, your score would go up by 50. And then I needed to create the score counter, so the next thing I wanted to do was create a little bit of the UI. First, I created the score counter that goes up every time you eat a dot, and then I created these hearts that will show you how many lives you have left. After that, I created this timer that shows you how much time on each character, and an animation that shows when you switch characters. Now, at this point, you might be wondering how all the play against yourself mechanics are going to work. Basically, for your first turn, you're going to be playing as Pac-Man trying to get as many dots as you can in 10 seconds. During all this time, your movements as Pac-Man are going to be getting recorded, and then after the 10 seconds, this pop-up animation will play and tell you that you're about to switch. Now you're controlling the ghost, and your previous turn as Pac-Man is being played back. You're trying to stop your previous Pac-Man self. Then that cycle continues going back and forth until either Pac-Man wins by collecting all the dots, or the ghost wins by making Pac-Man run out of all 3 lives. At this point, the game was working perfectly as I had imagined it. You could take turns playing as each character, and there was even a game over screen. But there was one big issue. The ghost could camp. Basically, what you could do as the ghost was just go and sit in one spot where you knew Pac-Man would go, and it would defeat the whole purpose of the game. That was when I had a brilliant idea. My solution was to make it so Pac-Man could only die from behind. Do you remember what I said earlier about giving the ghost a faster move speed? This really comes in handy now because it leads to some really intense chases where the ghost is trying to catch up to Pac-Man before the time ends. I also tried to add a visual representation for this, so when you're in front of Pac-Man playing as the ghost, your character would turn blue like the scared ghost, and it would represent you about to be eaten by Pac-Man. When I had my friend try the game, he was actually really confused by this mechanic, but it makes perfect sense to me, so let me know what you think in the comments. But as a final cherry on top, I added some post-processing effects like bloom, lens distortion, and grain to drive home that original arcade feel. And then I added some sounds for when you collect a dot and one for when you die. And with that done, that was the game. Overall, I really like how this project came out because I feel like Pac-Man is such a classic game and it's really cool to see it in this new way. I put a link to the game in my description, so go check it out if you're interested. By the way, I'm a small channel with only 1,300 subscribers, and my goal is to try and get to 2,000 by the end of the year, so please consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching, and go check out another video.